Good morning, X fans.
We're coming to you live from the mountains.
It's vacation, but big news.
Day after the X-Men vote has been announced. By now, you know your candidates.
But just in case, let's go through them.
Armor, Avalanche, Bling, Firestar, Gentle, Gorgon, Micromax, Penance, Siren, and Surge.
And you all have been making your voices heard.
Yeah, we had an unofficial poll reaction story on our Instagram and a lot of different responses, votes for every candidate,
which is nice.
That's exciting.
Even
Micromax had a couple of votes.
Didn't know who that was. Big shocker. No clue.
That's a deep cut from Excalibur's original run.
So basically, we just wanted to take a moment to, share our 2 cents on the situation, since we've been kind of quiet on that front. And since it's negative degrees outside and we won't be heading to the mountain, we figured today was a good time to do that.
And I'll be honest, I haven't decided.
You haven't decided?
I'm split between a couple of options.
All right. Well, why don't you talk to me about that? Talk to us about that.
My gut tells me Penance, because just the amount of power that she brings, the amount of potential that she adds to the team. And I do feel like of the generations of mutants that she's been on the cusp of being on the main team, that she deserves to be in the A-League. But also she's had a lot of opportunities in the Krakoan era. And should we provide that to someone who has not been seen or has not had a shot in the Krakoan era?
All right. Okay. I mean, Penance, Monet, whatever you want to call her, she was my first choice in looking at the list.
My gut told me Surge.
Your gut told you Surge.
Well, at least
why? Why is that?
I have a fondness for the Academy X Kids.
Okay.
I did read and collect that series. That was one of the last series that I read before I paused from comic book collecting early on. And I always loved Static Shock as a show, electric powers, speed powers. I just like her as a character. And then the other one that's on my mind is Gorgon, because I feel like he really showed up at 10 of Swords and sacrificed himself
and then was dead.
And then now my only concern is he's definitely a full wild card. You don't know what you're adding to the team with him.
I do feel like there are a lot less mutants that I feel strongly connected to this round of voting, which does feel like a good thing, in that, giving others a time to shine who may or may not be like the classic choices. I'm engaging with our audience. But I don't know, Penance just seems like a strong choice for me. And she didn't get what I wanted for her in the book in which she was in.
We don't talk about that book.
We don't talk about that book.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about X-Corp. No. If you've seen Encanto, you know what I'm singing. You should see that anyway. That's a side note. I don't know. And I feel like of the others, and hearing other people's arguments, I will say that I agree with the idea of Surge being, a younger person who has gone through the academy, and we don't necessarily get the opportunity to see those kids that are actually learning something go forth and do something with it. So I think that is a nice progression for the X-Men as a whole.
And honestly, not to conflate it even further, but Avalanche was on my short list because we don't have any vocally villainous characters on a X-Men team when we're touting the combination of all mutants.
That's true. So let me ask you just some general X-Men vote questions. We know that the X-Men vote is for one member of the team, right? Do we think that this is an additional member, or is someone getting the boot, or are we getting a completely new X-Men team at the gala?
There's not been much official conversation about that.
I'm asking, what does Justin think?
What does Justin think? I'll tell you what Justin hopes for. I don't want a complete loss of the current team.
Mhm.
I feel like it's too soon, too fresh, too new. Someone did float this out on Facebook yesterday that they have talked about in the books, splitting the team into two
Mhm.
and sending one team out into space to do some missions while the other holds down the fort in New York.
This is true.
I would like to see that happen. And then maybe you're adding a couple of members and not necessarily losing any members.
Well, when the first X-Men book post the election last year happened, there was an additional room, right?
Mhm.
There's an additional room in the treehouse. So maybe they're just using this vote to add in one more person.
But do you need a room if you're not staying at the treehouse?
Well, I don't know. Home base?
Well, what do you want to happen?
I agree. I don't think that we should be upending the entire team. It seems very fresh and very new since we've started to really dig into what it is the team does. So I don't think we should just take that away. Plus, I think, you know, what makes a good team is the ability to keep growing together. So I have mixed feelings. Part of me feels like it would be fair, you know, in the sense of taking it back to, you know, the eyes of an audition, right? Like if you're a Rockette, I don't know if you have to audition every year, but in some situations, like players on teams or performers have to re-audition. And then because they were on it before, they sort of have leverage or an advantage. So if there is another vote, but people can reapply or
that just seems like a whole my first question, my real question, we're gonna have another Hellfire Gala.
Yeah, we are.
This. And I understood when they said that they would happen every year, but I didn't think that that meant every year our time, because it's different time passage in the Marvel universe.
That's true.
And you really stepped it up in the Hellfire Gala 2021. You terraformed Mars and took control over the solar system.
These are all good points.
I don't know how you're going to top that. You know, you're just going to announce one new X-Man and then you're like, yeah, humans, that's all we got for you.
I wonder if the Hellfire Gala this year will be more of a fan event than an actual event in the comics.
I would prefer that.
Because
personally.
you're right. You're totally right. It has not been a year within the comics at all. It's been like a couple of months, maybe.
Yeah, right. Not even.
Maybe weeks.
Right.
That's a valid point.
So
and you know, what are the outfits going to be? What is the premise? Where is it going to be held? Like we haven't had any prep leading up to it.
Right.
So,
and I just feel like that's a lot, because then what, we're going to do the whole thing again the following year. I just feel like it's not impactful enough to want to repeat that frequently.
I think for a fan event, it is, but
I have not
in
seen
the comics,
but I have not seen an indication that that's actually going to be what happens.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think overall the X-Men vote is really fun. As a way to engage together as a community and fight for and or maybe slander other mutants if you're feeling saucy. I still think my vote is going to Penance. I haven't decided yet. I think last year we cast our vote really early, and this year I'm kind of like, I want to see what the internet can do to sway me, what you all can do.
I'm pretty sure the voting ends the 13th.
Yeah, so I have a couple of days.
Okay. Not too long, but yeah.
Did you already cast your vote?
No.
All right then. So here you have our tiny little recap of what's about to happen. I mean, please feel free to share with us your thoughts on this election as a whole, what's coming up with the gala, and who you think we should vote for, because I'm holding out. I'm procrastinating. Well, until next time, old friend.
Charles.